opening and closing, closing and opening. My vagina is a flower, an eccentric tulip. Its center, acute and deep. The scent delicate, the petals gentle and stern. I did not always know this. I learned this in the Vagina Workshop. I learned this from the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop. A woman who believes in vaginas, who really sees vaginas. A woman who helps other women see their own vaginas by looking at other women's vaginas. In the first session, the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop asked us to draw a picture of our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina. That's what she called it. She wanted to know what our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina looked like to us. One woman who was pregnant drew a big red mouth, screaming with coins spilling out. Another very skinny woman drew a round serving plate with a kind of Devonshire pattern on it. I drew a big black dot with little squiggly lines around it. The black dot was meant to represent a black hole in space, and the squiggly lines are meant to be people or objects or just your basic atom who gets lost there. I thought of my vagina as a kind of anatomical vacuum, randomly sucking up particles from the surrounding environment. I did not think of my vagina in practical or biological terms. I did not, for example, see it as something attached to me. In the workshop, we were asked to examine our vaginas with hand mirrors. Then, after careful examination, we were to verbally report back to the group what we saw. I must say that, up until this point, everything I knew about my vagina was based on hearsay or invention. I had never actually seen the thing. It had never occurred to me to look at it. My vagina existed for me on a sort of abstract plane. It just seemed so reductive and awkward to look at it, like we were in the workshop on our shiny blue mats. It reminded me of how the early astronomers must have felt with their primitive telescopes. I found it quite unsettling at first, my vagina. It was like the first time you see a fish cut open and discover this bloody, complex world right beneath the surface. It was so fresh, so raw, so red. And the thing that surprised me most was the layers. Layers inside layers, opening up into more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came to my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the woman who ran the workshop called vaginal wonder. I wanted to lie there, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever. It was better than a grand canyon, so ancient and full of grace. It had the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny, very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek, open and close. Then, the woman who ran the workshop asked how many of the women in the workshop had had orgasms. 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I did not raise my hands, although I had had orgasms. I did not raise my hands because they were accidental orgasms. They happened to me. They'd happen in dreams, and I'd wake up in splendor. They happened a lot in water, usually in a bath, once in Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, on the treadmill at the gym. I did not raise my hand, not because I hadn't had orgasms, but because I did not know how to make one happen. I thought it was a mystical, magical thing. I didn't want to interfere. It felt wrong to get involved. Contrived, manipulative. It felt Hollywood. The mystery would be gone and the magic. The problem, of course, was that I hadn't had one of these magical, accidental orgasms in quite some time, and I was frantic. That's why I was in the Vagina Workshop. Then came the moment that I both dreaded and longed for. The woman who ran the workshop asked us to get out our hand mirrors again and see if we could locate our clitoris. Over there, the group of lost women looking for our sports, our locus, our reason, and I don't know why, but I started to cry. Maybe it was just sheer embarrassment. But maybe it was knowing that I had to give up fantasy. That enormous, life-consuming fantasy. That someone or something was going to do this for me. That someone was coming to lead my life, to choose direction, to give me orgasms. I could feel the panic coming. The simultaneous terror and the realization that I had avoided finding my clitoris. That I had rationalized it as consumerist and mainstream simply because I was afraid of the fact that I did not have a clitoris. That I was one of those constitutionally incapables, one of those frigid, dead, shut down, dry, bitter apricot tasting, oh my God! I lay there on my mat, feeling with my fingers, and all I could think about was the time when I was 10 and I lost my gold ring with the emerald on it in the lake, and how I kept diving over and over to the bottom of the lake, running my hands over rocks, fish, and bottle caps and slimy stuff, but never my ring. The panic I felt, I knew I'd be punished. I shouldn't have gone at swimming. The woman who ran the workshop saw my frantic scrambling and sweating and heavy breathing and shaking over. I told her, I've lost my clitoris. It's gone. I shouldn't have wanted swimming. The woman laughed and calmly patted my forehead. She told me my clitoris was not something I could lose. My clitoris was me. The essence of me. It was both the doorbell to my house and the house itself. I did not have to find my clitoris. I had to be it. Be it. Be my clitoris. Be my clitoris. I lie down, put my mirror down, and shut my eyes. I watched as I hovered above myself. And then I watched as I began to approach and re-enter. It was quiet, this re-entry. Quiet and gentle. I felt like an astronaut re-entering the surface of the Earth. I bounced and landed and bounced. I came into my muscles and blood and cells, and I slid into my vagina. It was so easy, and I fit. I was so warm and ready and young and pulsing and alive. And I put my finger on what suddenly had become me. I felt it quivering at first, which urged me to stay. And then the quivering became a quaking an eruption, the layers dividing and subdividing, an eruption of light and music and brightness and sound, and I felt a connection, a calling and connection, me thrashing around on my little blue mat. My vagina is a shell, a flower, and a destiny. I'm arriving as I am beginning to leave. My vagina. My vagina. Me.